Welcome to Protea Conversations. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with someone who has helped reshape how our profession thinks about leadership, innovation, and well-being, Randy Crabtree. Randy is a co-founder and partner of TriMerit Specialty Tax Professionals, a nationally recognized firm that has become a leader in specialty tax incentives and credits. With more than 3 decades in public accounting, he has built and led successful firms, guided thousands of business owners, and helped redefine what a modern, sustainable accounting practice can look like. Beyond his work in tax, Randy is widely known as the host of the Unique CPA podcast, one of the most influential shows in the accounting profession, and the creator of Bridging the Gap Conference, a groundbreaking event focused on connection, leadership, and mental wellness in our industry. His voice reaches far beyond his own firm. Randy has been named among Accounting Today's top 100 most influential people in accounting. He is a sought-after keynote speaker for CPA societies and professional organizations across the country, and is a trusted contributor to the leading industry publications. What truly sets Randy apart is not just what he's built, but why he's built it. He's a passionate advocate for human-centered leadership, firm culture, and mental health, challenging our profession to think bigger, lead better, and care more deeply about people behind the numbers. Randy is truly a kind human being, and I'm thankful to have him as a friend. Randy, welcome to Protea Conversations.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. This is exciting. I got to see you in person last week, and now I get to see you online today. This is nice.
No, it is. It's really great to catch up, and I'm sort of fanning out a little bit here because you're one of my favorite people in the accounting space. I look up to you. It's surreal that I get to call you a friend and that you've taken some time to do this. Like, you're on the list of people I'm too scared to ask to be on Protea Conversations. So it was a big surprise when you reached out to me asking, like, would you like me to be on it? So I'm really appreciated that you're here today and that, you've given me a chance, especially with, the Bridging the Gap Roadshow last week.
Yeah, no, thank you. And never be afraid. I love what you're doing. I love hanging out with you and talking with you. We got to have lunch together out in your neck of the woods last year around this time. And that was fun. So I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, it's always this weird thing for me. I'm a pretty confident person, but except when it comes to asking for people to be on my podcast, then I'm like, the confidence goes to zero. So this is super helpful. I really do appreciate it, and I'm excited to learn from you today. And it's an interesting one because there is a lot of information out there. You've been on a ton of podcasts, and part of me is always like, how do we make this different?
Yeah.
And I was like, who cares? Maybe we won't be different, but we'll touch some cool topics either way, right? And people will listen or they won't listen. I know I'm going to learn a lot. I know I'm going to have a ton of fun.
Yes,
like
I'm
I said,
have fun.
yeah, I tell people all the time, this is a selfish endeavor anyway. So, as long as I'm learning, I'm okay with that. Because if I'm learning something, I'm sure everybody else will learn something.
I think the same thing. I host a podcast and I say that often. I figure if I'm excited, if I'm learning something, I figure the audience is then too. And if they're not, they can listen to something else. So hopefully we educate them on something today.
Yeah, I hope so. And, I think that is a great way to set life up in general. Like, if you're having fun and you're learning something, like, there's got to be some value in there for other people. And, it's one of the things I've learned from you is have fun, live in the moment, take every day as it comes. I thought it'd be a good place to start, seeing that there is this sign above your head right now that, I don't know how new it is, but the world's greatest grandpa, parking only. You have a new granddaughter. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I didn't ask you, but are we doing video as well? Because if people are seeing me, there's a huge smile on my face.
Yeah, we're doing video, so
Okay.
people will get to see the amazing smile. I know how much joy this new arrival is bringing you.
Yeah. So Charlotte was born on December 28th. So as we're recording, she's 2 days away from her 1 month birthday, if that's how you say it. It is. I've been ready to be a grandpa for a few years, and my wife and I are just thrilled. We got to spend about 4 hours with her yesterday. If we go a couple days without seeing her, we're having withdrawal symptoms. So we're very fortunate that we have 2 boys and their spouses. The one is actually engaged. They're getting married next year, but I still call her his spouse because they've been together a while. They live near us, all 6 of us, and 7 now with Charlotte. We're together yesterday with our 4 dogs too, between all of us. And it's just so cool. Family's so important to us, and just to be able to hang out. But Charlotte is, if anything is going to actually make me slow down in this profession, it'll be Charlotte.
Well, it's not a terribly bad thing to slow down a little bit and taking the moment with the grandchild. So super super exciting. And like I said, we saw each other last week, and you were definitely gushing about it. So I'm glad
Yeah.
there's a little sign that made us bring it up early in this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for that. The kids got me that for Christmas before she was born, and then I just noticed my wife threw it up on these shelves. I think it was yesterday. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to leave that there. So that's nice.
No, that is great. Well, thanks for sharing for that with us. And I've got younger kids, so I'm a little bit further away from
Yep.
the grandparent side, but I spent 10 hours in a gymnastics gym for my boys yesterday. So, we do these things for family. And as much as my hips were killing me by the end of the day, I was, all smiles and so proud of my boys and everything they achieved. So,
Yep.
family is great. Family is important. And we all need to remember that and be grateful for those small moments, even sometimes when they drive us crazy.
Yep. And let me tell you one thing on that, what you just said. So, one of the things that my wife and I probably miss the most is the moments that you just said with the kids. Our kids played sports growing up and never missed a thing with it. And we'd spend our youngest was volleyball, and we'd spend, 10 hours in a volleyball gym or it's a 2-day event, or you're traveling around the country doing that, but you miss those days. And that's one thing with the grandkids now. I'm like, oh yes, we get to do it again. It's gonna take a few years, but we get to do it again.
Yeah. No, I remind myself, because gymnastics is a special sport. 10 hours in the gym, and each of them you see it for roughly 6 minutes.
Yes.
And, I went for a walk with each of them when we were at the Stanford campus. It was a beautiful sunny day, and, going just for a walk up, between sessions while the other one was competing, and just having conversation with them. Those are moments I'll remember when I'm older. And,
Yeah.
those are the moments I'm going to cherish, be grateful for, and give me energy for this week, which is, bound to be a tough one because they all are pretty tough in the accounting world, right?
Yes, we gotta change that. But yes, they are sometimes too tough.
Yeah, and you're a big advocate for sort of finding some balance and taking a little bit of stress outside of the accounting world. And obviously, it comes from a real place. It's not just some marketing spiel that Randy brought up. He's got a real life example. And, maybe for some of the listeners that haven't heard your story before, and this is sort of how you and I met for the first time. I attended, one of your presentations at a conference, and it really hit home to me, and we connected afterwards. And so maybe just quickly share sort of your story for everybody who's listening.
Yeah, quick. I am a CPA, so just get that. I've been in this profession for a long time. I'm old, but the story, my transition, my whatever ethnicity, the way that my mind works today, all was a impact of a stroke I had 11 years ago. In fact, we're 11 days away from my 11-year anniversary of my stroke. And, that stroke kind of changed the way that I looked at things. It changed what was important to me. It changed the mindset that I had about this profession, that, it had to be this way, and it's always been done this way. So I have to do it this way, and I have to, all these things. And that it made me realize I can question what I'm doing. And part of that was because I struggled mentally for about 4 years after the stroke. Physically, I recovered fast, but mentally, I struggled for quite a while. And then when that changed, that's when I really saw this. We have this mindset in this profession that we put these things in our way, or we have obstacles in our way that we don't even realize we're putting in our way because we just think this is the way it has to be. And that's where I started getting passionate about we can change things, we can do things different, we can find ways to, work smarter, enjoy every moment of everything we're doing. And then I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but I enjoy every moment of everything I'm doing now. And I didn't always do that before. And I know we can all do that. And so, yeah, it changed my mindset. It changed to me the thought process of I don't have to do this by myself. It changed the thought process of I don't have to be the one in charge. I can be, someone that maybe has some influence here and there, but I don't have to run day to day. I don't have to. There were so many things that it just changed in my life. And and this will sound really weird, but one of the best things that ever happened to me was having a stroke. And I feel very guilty about saying that because physically I recovered and a lot of people don't recover to the level I have. And I don't mean to be, take that lightly because that is super important. But I was lucky that I did recover and it taught me so many things. And that's the very quick version, probably longer than you expected, but that's the quick version.
No, I think it's a good version. And you shouldn't feel too much guilt in saying that, because I think for a lot of us it does take some sort of event to wake us up to everything that we're missing out on, right? And it could be working too hard and ignoring things around us, or we run into these cases where people just hyperfixate on the bad and forget about
Yep.
all the good in their lives.
Yep.
And that creates additional stress. And then when something goes wrong, there's even more stress. And we think, it's just stress. How bad can it be? What real effect can it have on us? And obviously, one of the worst case scenarios is you have a stroke, but there's all the other things, you know, you're picking up weight, physically not able to do things, loss of relationships, there's all these other side effects that happen before you can even get to that point, which are having a detrimental effect on your life. And, especially on accounting, like, we all work hard because we want to, make good salaries, and then we've got money to spend and live comfortably. And when we look again, we're like, oh, great, I've got all these wonderful things in my life, but I don't do anything with them.
Yep.
And I ignore the relationships, which mean more than anything else. And then, we all wake up lonely in a room by ourselves one day, and you're like, now what?
Yep.
Yeah. So, horrible that you have to like realize it in the worst possible way. But I think the good comes into it. Obviously, you're living a great life right now. You can see that you're happy. I spend time with you. I know it. It's a lot. For me, who's a little bit more antisocial, like, you be around Randy, you better be ready to talk to a lot of people because he just attracts people in, which is fantastic. I suck it up and I take it all in, and it's a great moment. But it is a good realization for everybody. Like, you need to enjoy the moments right now because life is short. And for you, like, there could have been a much worse outcome, right? And
Yeah.
that's something we all need to remember, that it all can be gone tomorrow. And if we don't live today and take in all the good that we have in our lives today, you might not have the opportunity, to take that all in tomorrow. So say that I love you to that person that really matters to you. And I think it's a great message, and anybody has an opportunity needs to listen to Randy talk. And, maybe this won't be the greatest podcast to get like his real inspirational talks, but go and find them. I'll drop some in the episode description as well. I'll find some good ones that you can go, get the real deep down into mental side of it, looking after yourself side of it. Randy, going to talk a little bit more generally today.
Yep. No, that's great. And by the way, I loved you. So there you go. I went and said it. And I do. What you're doing it's impressive to me. And I love the way you built your firm and everything. And you say that you're not maybe you feel comfortable in big crowds, but you do a great job of it. And you, as we heard last week, I think it was Jeannie Whitehouse said, don't listen to this guy because he is the best networker there is out there. He's out meeting people all the time.
It's a part of the job, right? And it doesn't necessarily bring me a ton of energy, but I learned a lot of skills in the bar during my college days, right? You
Yeah.
learn how to talk to people, and those are skills that should never be underestimated. And it all comes down to communication. Can we learn to talk to different people? Can we learn to connect with people?
Yeah.
And I appreciate the kind words. I really do. Probably blushing will probably show up in the video. And I'm not very good at receiving any feedback, let alone good feedback. But these are skills that us as accountants need to develop. And
Yes.
finding the opportunities to connect with the community, which I said that out publicly last week. Like, I used to not worry about it. I just sort of put my head down, got things, done. But what I realized is it's not the best way to do things, because there are opportunities. If I'm going to preach, I want to help people, I better have a community that I can reach out to help people. I got some random person reaching out to me as a friend of a friend that needs help with their accounting for their business, way outside of my area of expertise. I was able to jump on a WhatsApp group. Hey, ask people, do you know? I got a few people reach out to me. I can make an introduction. And now all of a sudden I am actually fulfilling that. Hey, if I want to add value and help people, well, now I'm doing it because I'm using a network of really good accounting people that I trust. Like, I know if they're on their WhatsApp group, people trust them. That's a big thing. And, if I didn't come out of my shell and start talking to people, like, I wouldn't have that opportunity.
Well, look at you coming out of your shell, out in person, doing a podcast. I think you're getting there.
Just a little bit,
All right.
bit. Yeah, but it's talk to us about the community, because I know that's really important to you. And, you've got a wonderful conference in Bridging the Gap. We just got to fix the date that conference is on so I can start attending it. But, I only hear great things. There's a lot of conferences, and it's one of the few that it doesn't matter who you talk to. If they've been, they absolutely love it. They love what it means, and they love what they walk away from. So tell me sort of about the concept of how you got into it and how you're bringing communities together.
Yeah. So it all started. The conference overriding theme is always going to be, and always will be, and always has been around wellness, mental health awareness, burnout prevention, physical health awareness. And that was just, again, going back to my story, that was one of the key things that I saw. And I've always been someone that's exercised. That's not a problem. But I don't think I was always someone that the mental side I took as good a care. So we wanted to build a conference where that was the overriding theme. Now it is an accounting conference, so there's also, you know, how does this impact me in my profession? And so we talk about things like how you run a more efficient practice, how you bill more, work less, how you build technology into what you're doing to create efficiencies, because technology is scary to a lot of people. It's that, oh wow, I got to spend 40 hours implementing this, and we ignore the 400 hours I'm going to save over the next 3 years by implementing or whatever. And so it's about that. It's about community, what you just said, the connections. In fact, the roadshow you and I just did was community, connections, and collaboration. And those are three really important words to me. But from a community standpoint, what's happened at Bridging the Gap, and thank you for the kind words, it has become this thing that people just love. And I think it's because it's different. We're not out there, just talking about, whatever, the newest tax code, although we will talk a little taxes here. We're not talking about the newest, whatever, FASB, GAP. I don't even know all this stuff, but that's not it. It's not a technical conference from that standpoint, but we will talk a little bit of that. It is more of the, let's not, just because we build by the hours for the last 100 years, let's question that. Does this have to be the way it is? Just because we've, grown up as a generalist, is that something we still have to do? Should we be a niche expert like you? That's why I love what you're doing, that niche expertise. I'm such a fan of that. And so, but to go backwards, community aspect of it, I've seen this from day one, that really we've just had this group of people that want to learn. They want to rely on each other. They want to learn from each other, not just people speaking, but each other. And this last year, it was evident from the second people walked in the room. I don't know what happened. We had 329 people on site this last year. We were 174 first year, 214 the second year, and 329. And this year, we're probably going to have to cap the numbers because we are getting left and right people wanting to register, and that's about to go live. But when people walked in that room, I just felt this energy, this vibe. The connection was there. Even if it was your first time there, even if you knew nobody else in the room, somehow there was, someone called it the hive mind. I don't know what it was, but there was this hive mind that occurred inside that room. And that's this whole concept of, we don't have to do this alone. We can do this with others. We can rely on others. We need others. And again, that comes out of my mental struggles. I thought I could get past that alone. And it took me 4 or 5 years to realize I couldn't. I needed others. And that's so important to me. So it's that community aspect is huge. The people there, the energy, the vibe, the camaraderie, the friendships, all of that is just something that, like you said, your WhatsApp group. We've got that in person, and then we have that after the conference leaves. And so, yeah, I get goosebumps talking about it. I gave people a place to congregate and the freedom to share with each other. And somehow that's just taken off big time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of thinking about it as you're talking through it. Like sometimes what people need is a little bit of permission, right? And I feel like you walk in those doors and there's permission to talk about your struggles. Like you've created an environment where there's no judgment, and people want that, right? Like they're looking for that little bit of safety and security. Let me talk about my struggles. Let's share with each other, try to learn from each other. I mean, you're setting the example, right? You're putting your hand up saying, hey, I need help. I need other people. I need community. And when you hear that and you see other people doing it can be infectious. It can become like, that hive mindset where everybody's sort of jumping in on it. I mean, sometimes we're all adults, but we need permission at the end of the day. And, it takes somebody with some influence, and you are one of the top 100 accounting influencers and accounting today's top 100 most influential
Yeah.
people in
I
accounting.
got a couple plaques up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just passion. If you're passionate about something, people see it. It's also, what you just said, giving people the freedom or the be themselves, or to share struggles. And this may not hurt, but I get so emotional at these. I mean, every year I cry, but I cry because it's just, I'm so passionate about this. And so I think, like my opening keynote, It was probably 6 or 7 times that I started crying during that, but it's just so meaningful for me, people, not to toot my own horn, because that everybody there has that same mindset. But
Hmm.
when people feel that mindset, then it's just, and it's not just, "Hey, we're just here to, say with our struggles." No, we're here to solve the problems you're dealing with. We're here. I've been through that. Here's how I got through it. You know, Sally's been through that. Here's what she's discovered. Here's how she can help. And then you have this sounding board that you get to, fall back on whenever there is something you're struggling with.
No, I think it's great. But answer this: how do we get people to that point? Like, what advice can you give people to sort of just be a little bit more vulnerable?
Yeah,
Like, speak up when you need help. Like, we can take it on the mental health well being side of it as well. Like,
right.
I think so much of us are scared to speak up and stand up. Like, I just motor along, right? Like, I am what I am and I move forward, and I don't ask for a lot. I don't need a lot of people around me, but I know I do. And I have my wife, so I can talk to her,
Yep.
and there's those opportunities. I have a couple of close friends, and we'll get into stuff, especially after a few of our favorite adult beverages. Like,
Yep.
we'll have those conversations, but not everybody has that. So how, like, I mean, obviously it took a massive life event for you to get there, and you
Right.
learned a lot in that period of time. Like, what key learning do you think you could tell somebody, not necessarily for them to have to listen, but it's something that we can plant in people's heads on a regular basis to be like, it's okay.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, and you said it, is realizing that vulnerability isn't a weakness; it's a strength, and it's okay. You have to start somewhere, and somebody has to start it. And so if you're in an organization where, everybody's afraid to say, "I struggled with this," or "I don't have the answer for this," or "I made a mistake here," have the courage to be the one that steps up and say, "Hey, you know what? I was working on this project. Here's the mistake I made. I can't get through it. I need other people's help. Can you give me the answer? Can you help me with this?" Or, "I did figure it out, and I think it can help each other if I show you what this mistake was, and the answer that I discovered, and now let's share this with each other so it doesn't happen to you as well." And for me, that just started when I personally was, struggling mentally. There was one person that I would go to, as my wife, and say, "Hey, I'm I don't know what's going on, but I'm having this melancholy feeling," which was depression, but this melancholy feeling. And she and I would talk through it, and then I'd feel a little bit better. And so that just started. And then that got me to a point where, like, okay, well, I think I need to talk to a therapist. So then I went to a therapist and started sharing with her. And then when all of this resolved, then it was like, okay, we all need to do this. So be the brave soul that's going to be the one to say, "I don't have all the answers. I have made a mistake." Because when you do that, it frees up everybody else. And I can point out to statistics. I could point out to what this can have, the positive impact it could be. But I'll throw one at you. And I think the numbers are: an organization that displays vulnerable leadership is 40% more innovative and creative. If we're not innovative and creative, what are we? We're flatline at best. And if we're flatline and everybody else is innovative and creative, they're all going to pass us by. 25% of the people within the organization um, are more resilient when there's vulnerable leadership. 30% are more, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. 60% trust goes up when there's vulnerable leadership by 60%. So all these things. So it's not I'm going to be weak here and show you I made a mistake. No, I'm going to be strong and show you I made a mistake. And now we're all going to learn from this. And our organization is going to thrive because we're going to feel comfortable trying new things. I don't know if I went on a tangent there, but that's the key thing, I think.
No, I think it's clear, right? And it's like, as leaders, we have to set the example. And again, it's like creating those environments where people have permission to be vulnerable.
Yep.
And I think that can be difficult, and I've spent a lot of time the last year trying to figure out like who I am, because I know I'm difficult, right? Like, I am very clear of that. And, I'm a very, what I was reading this thing, like, everybody's an idiot and like the disc, and I'm very red. And I know that can be hard for a lot of people to be around. And, for me, I'm working through like, how do I be, without being less of me, how do I make sure that I'm aware of other people?
Yep.
And, I probably tell people all the time that I make mistakes,
Nice.
but do they really believe it, right? Or because they're like, "You said you made a mistake, but it still worked out." Like, "Oh yeah, because I I saw it, I fixed it, I asked the questions, I solved, I just moved really quickly, right? So my from mistake to solve solution is a lot shorter than most because I'm very goal orientated. I'm just
Right.
getting it done, and I think that's hard for like other personality types to take in because they're like, "What did we miss a week?" It's like, no, I just got there, right? Like I just kept moving,
Yep.
um, which is my superpower, right? I can make a mistake and just keep moving like nothing happened.
Yeah. And I like that.
And yeah, I mean, maybe in a few years' time it'll come back to bite me, but I think it is hard for people who see that. It's hard, to understand that. Like I'm telling you, I made a mistake. I'm telling you, I've asked for help and I've tried to fix it, and people don't realize that most people's timeline is this long, but for me, that timeline is this short because I'm
Right.
like, I'm okay. I don't mind looking like a moron. Like I just didn't know what I was doing. Can you help me? And
Right.
I'll ask that help. And I wish everybody would get there, right, to the
Yeah.
point of where it's okay to make a mistake because the best people make mistakes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
generally, like the higher up the chart you go in terms of success, the bigger the mistakes they've made along the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What's that saying? I mean, you don't learn anything from success. You learn it from mistakes or something like that. I mean, yeah, this is if we looked at if somebody were to look at me and say I was successful, it's not because I was been perfect the whole time. It's because I made mistakes. That's there. I don't know what the success definition is, but I feel successful. So
And I think that right there is maybe the best learning that everybody can take away from this whole call today is that who cares what success is? It's like, do you feel like you are successful? And I think we spend way too much time worrying about what other people think are successful or what the metrics of success are,
yep,
rather than just sitting down, like, my wife's happy, my kids are happy. Like, I don't really care about the rest. Like, for me, those are the two that really measure success.
yep,
It'd be nice that my mom's proud of me, which I know she is. So there we go. I tick all three boxes, and all the rest is just it is whatever, right? And that's allows me to go to sleep at night. And if we start focusing on I haven't done this, or I have somebody in my networking group, non-accountant, who always talks about people focusing on where they're at rather than where they think they should be at.
mhm,
And I think that's where a lot of people start struggling and really get themselves stressed out is that they think they should be further along in their journey. They think they should be at the same place as this person that they went to college with. And they're so worried about everybody else and forget about who they are, what they've achieved, what they can be grateful for. And I think that builds up a ton of stress in people's minds as well.
yeah. It's there's a thing I talk about a lot is I feel like I live at the intersection of my passions and my skills. And I don't care what everybody else's passion. I mean, I care what theirs are, but I don't want to try to have their skills. I don't want to try to have their passions. I have my own, and if I
Hmm.
can just lean into that, then I'm satisfied. If I can spend time doing things that I love doing and I'm good at, and that combination, then I'm satisfied. It'd be nice if it also brings money in because it is nice to, you know, uh, own a house and eat food and all this. But to me, if you can lean into those two things, that the rest comes. And that might be hard for people to believe, but for me, your passion shows through when you do that, and people will, gravitate towards you.
No, that is great. Should we talk a little bit about the skills? Because, you are pretty skillful in the accounting space and you do run a successful business being Tri-Merit. So a little quick, like, what is that and how did you get there?
Yeah, so Tremere, we're a specialty tax firm. We deal with credits and incentives. I started that as we found out last week. My math was wrong. I was saying 20 years. It's 19 years. I knew we had a 20-year anniversary looming, so we're a little over 15 months away from 20-year anniversary. But I came out of a generalist firm. I started that back in 91 and ran that to '06, and then started Tremere in '07. And yeah, we just support the accounting profession with allowing them to bring opportunities to their clients. We're an extension of accounting firms around the country where they team up with us and we educate them. We go in and we qualify, quantify, document support, whatever incentive it is that we're working with them, and they get to be the hero and go back to their clients and say, "Hey, we just saved you $100,000," and they know we're part of that team, but we don't need the credit. We want the accounting firm to get the credit.
No, that's great. I've heard a lot of good things about your firm. I got to meet one of your team members at Bridging the Gap last week, and he only had good things to say. being your only West Coast person, it sounds like.
Yeah, you know what? We used to have more, but I think that was Eric, I assume. Eric is in San Francisco, actually, proper. And yeah, he's been 5 years or so now. And I think he is. We had somebody else in Sacramento, but he retired recently. Somebody I've known for 20 years, actually, and he retired recently. We have somebody that's looking to move to California. We do a lot of work in California, so I'm surprised that we only have one. No, I know we have more. Actually, there is more. There's at least three more, I think. So if he told you he was the only one, I'm gonna have a talk with Eric.
Maybe he meant the only one in San Francisco.
I think that's what he meant.
Yeah, I was grabbing him between for the breakout questions.
Right.
I was putting him on the
Nice.
spot a lot, and I was like, "I know Randy well," and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
um, yeah." Talk about the culture at TriMerit. I know that's something you're very proud of.
Yeah, I get I know that's the wrong word. I'm going to say it like this though. I get annoyed sometimes when people talk about how we put the clients first, and that pretty much tells everybody you work with that you're not important. The clients are important and you're not. And that's just the way I look at it. That's how my mind says this. So for me, it's the people I work with are the most important things. And if you set a culture like that, then the clients are serviced, I believe, better than if we say we're client centric. And again, if you say that, it's just mindset, but this is how
Mhm.
I look at it. And so for me, I want to know everybody I work with, not just as a job title, but as a person. And if I can do that, I just feel overall, if we all do that within the organization, and I believe we're all friends within our company, if we have that type of community, everything else falls into line. And just I mean, I can go, I don't know how long we're recording, so I probably won't go really deep into this. Bottom
Oh,
line is,
we have time.
every time there's a new hire, my assistant sets up a call. I get on a call with a new hire. We talk about anything but work. We talk about them and who they are and what their passions are, what they love doing. We get together. We're fully remote, 5 people now, but we get together in person twice a year. And that is such a important thing. We skipped one year and you saw the negative impact of that, not getting together. And so we'll never skip again. But getting together with people, being able to hug them, being able to laugh with them, being able to cry with them, and we've had all of it. Being able to argue, be able to, answer concerns because people are not afraid to speak up. But that's the culture I want, a culture where people know it's okay to challenge what's happening. People know it's okay to say, hey, I don't like the way this was going. And here's why I didn't like it. And what was your idea of this? And why are we doing it this way? Is there something we should change? All those things are so important. And so we'll always work on an aspect of cultivating a people first culture with our organization. And just to brag one more second, well, 5 more seconds. It's not just hey, this is Randy's, touchy feely and everything's, kumbaya. No, this translates into business. We've been named by Inc. magazine one of the 5,000 fastest growing privately held companies in the US for 22, 23, and 24. We did not get on the 25 list. I wouldn't be surprised if we get on the list again, either in probably 27 will be the next time we get back on the list. So yeah, so it translates to business as well. And we don't lose people. I mean, people stick around. So that's a positive as well.
I mean, it is positive, but it means also that you're doing the right thing at the hiring stage.
Yes.
And then, so that's always a start, which I think, can be the hardest thing for people, especially in the accounting space where we just need people. So we hire. And, I think we sometimes forget like we really need to hire for values and culture and make sure we get people in that, not think the same way, but feel the same way as us,
Yes.
right?
You can't have the think the same way because without that diversity of thought, that will stagnate a business. And I found that out too, because the first, when we were 10 people, pretty much hired people that I wanted to go have a beer with, and we all talked the same and thought the same. And when we started hiring a much more diverse crowd from everything, from mindset and everything else you could think about with diversity, that's really when we started taking off. And so, yes, that's super important.
Yeah, I think it's diversity is always such a touchy subject
Yeah.
in the year we're at. But when you start thinking of diversity and diversity of thought process, I think, that really opens things up. And that makes a big difference when, especially in a culture that you've created where people are free to talk up, free to question, free to ask, free to argue. That diversity in mindset is really what, brings new ideas to the table, figures out new ways to do it. And like you said, it shows up in the growth numbers, right? Like you don't just get onto that list of being 5,000 fastest growing companies. Like it takes work, it takes a good culture, it takes the right processes. And most importantly, it takes really good people to be able to sustain that for a long period of time.
Yep. Yep. And it doesn't, we didn't make the list this last year because there was a little bit of a down year, but everybody like, pulled up their bootstraps and put in their mindset and like, here's how we're going to get this going. And, projections are, like I said, year after this, 26 is already going to be an up year. We can tell that. And 27 is projected to be a very good up year, a very big up year. We got through, tax code changes that tend to hurt us at times. And now we're in a place where taxes code changes are having a positive impact again.
So tell me how you talk through that with your team in terms of, it wasn't as good of a year, it was a little bit of a down year. Like how do you focus the team on like other victories? Because, it's not all just about growth. There a lot of times, for us a couple of years ago, it was really just about structural changes and bringing new processes in place. And that defined success in that year. How do you focus your team in on, hey, let's not get too down on ourselves. There are other victories that we had within the last year.
Yep, we have, and this is something that when I, made the realization that I don't have to do everything, I gave up managing partner role 9 years ago now. No, take that back. It was 2017. Yeah, my math is pretty bad. It is 9 years ago. Wait, what year are we in?
2020 something.
Yeah, it was 9 years ago. And so partly is just trusting other people to do things. But what we do is we quarterly have all hands-on, all team meeting where we talk about the state of the company. It is like the State of the Union address where we share where things are, what the goals are, where we are on the goals, what the 3-year plan is, what the 5-year plan is. And when we talk about success, we talk about having positive impact on how many positive impacts have we had on taxpayers rather than how much money have we got. So if we think about just having a positive impact on people, I think that's a measurable that I like better than saying, let's charge this person $100,000 and celebrate that. That's fine. We can celebrate that, but do we have a positive impact? And I'm going to go on a tangent. One of the biggest positive impacts that I will always remember is, what we did some ERC. We did quite a bit of ERC work, and we were the legitimate ERC people. We weren't the others. I won't call them names, but the others out there that we all saw. But the very first ERC client that we helped was a company out in California that was an organization, a nonprofit that was helping children with autism. And they were doing work inside of schools with kids. They just have somebody assigned with a kid in the school to help them be successful. And I don't know the whole ins and outs, but when everything happened during the pandemic, that was all shut down and they had to pivot and find new ways to help. And, so they had some money struggles. And we got them like $300,000, like right off the bat. And just the watching them when that check came in and they called us and thanks us and, they have tears in their eyes because now we can continue this program. We have the funds. That's why we measure positive impacts instead of revenue generated. And that's one that'll always stick with me.
No, that is a great story. And, who says accounting can't warm the soul, right? Like there's opportunities to make a really big difference and you just got to look for them. Like that's a nice, easy, tangible one. But
Yep.
I think, all of our lives, like, if you ever have a client that says, thank you, that really made my day, like you need to grab hold on that because it probably means the world to them. We work with small businesses all the time and, I try to remind the team, like, if we get something wrong or if we don't give them that document and they can't make that decision, it literally could be the difference between them having a business and not having a business.
Yeah.
And if you can't see that makes a difference and that is adding huge value way beyond the price tag that we charge, then you might be in the wrong place. It is, you just have to look for the moments and you have to take them and be grateful for them in the moment. And that's just a fantastic example.
Yeah.
Randy, what's the plans for 2026? What are your goals for 2026?
So personal goals, business goals, I'm really bad at goal setting. That's one reason I gave up a managing partner role because that is not my jam. I'm not a process procedure, KPI, goal setter. I am more of this like big picture, I think, thinking, and this is where we should be and this is how we should do things. And so for me, I'm fortunate that Trimeric gives me the freedom to go out and have a positive impact, I believe, on this profession. And so this is a year where I'm going to continue to lean into that. I'm going to continue. My personal motto has, and I think I'm quoting it right, is to have a positive impact on the lives of the people in the account, have a positive impact on the lives of people in the accounting profession by inspiring change. And so it's hard. Change is scary. So I want to continue to go out there and show people how change can have a positive impact on their life. And that doesn't necessarily mean a giant change, just a little tweak here and there. Just little teeny tweaks can add up to big differences. So I'm very looking forward to the conference this year, which is actually July 28th through the 30th in Charlotte, North Carolina, which still doesn't work for you.
My wife's birthday is July 20th.
All right. So I understand. So, but I'm really looking to, we're pivoting, not pivoting. What we're doing this year is we're taking what we've learned this last 3 years about mental health awareness and burnout and efficiencies. And we're going to use all those skills that we've learned the last 3 years, whether you've been there or not, you don't have to have been there. And now we're going to say, what do we use that for? How do we have a positive impact on the lives of the people that work with us by implementing different things, whether that is growth, and then how do you define growth? So all of these things are just running through my head all the time and not stressing me out, but just like exciting me about, can we do something different? Is there another thing that we can educate on? I have this brand new, I'm probably going to write this as the keynote, but it's about changes in our career and the best use of our talents at different points of our career, and then how that can have a positive impact on what we're doing. So for me, it's that continuing to do that. Obviously, Trimerit's huge in what we're doing. And so I want to spend more time with our business development people this year and support them as well, which I haven't done the last few years. So going out and just, showing people what's possible, either partnering with us or just what's possible in general in this profession. And then I have another personal goal is I want to do more speaking, even outside the accounting profession, because the message, I think that, again, not to sound egotistical, but I think the message that I'm able to share goes beyond accounting. And so if I can continue to have impact in other places, I'm hoping if I impact one person positively, I'll break down in tears. And so it selfishly, it means a lot to me, but I know if it's a positive impact on someone else, it's important to them. And so if I can continue to do that, those are some of the thought process without writing them down though that I have right now.
No, it sounds like another busy year, and then you got to throw in all the granddaughter time in there as well.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we got to make sure we find time to do a lot of babysitting for the
That's
kids.
already on the schedule. We know they're 20 minutes away, which is not actually, it's about 18 minutes. I think it took us last night to get back from their house after watching football at their house last night. Yeah, we will be spending a day or two a week when they both fully go back to the work schedule so that we can make sure that they have the freedom to do what they need, and we selfishly get to spend time with Charlotte then.
Fantastic. Randy, if I was entering the accounting industry today, what advice would you have for me?
Well, what I said earlier about leaning into your passions and your skills, it's not something you can do immediately, but when you're in this profession, by the way, it's the greatest profession out there. But when you get into this profession, start to make note of the things you love doing when you're at the office or at working at home or wherever you are. And just realize when you're doing a job and you're smiling, that's probably something you're enjoying doing. When you are working at something where you kind of cringe if the phone rings or an email you don't want to answer, that's probably not where you want to spend more time. You can't automatically make those changes, but start leaning into those smile generators as often as you can. And the mistake I made when I started my firm back in 91 is I took every client on. And that's not a mistake. It's a mistake to continue down that road. And that's the road I continued. Like you with dealing with the wineries. That's such an awesome thing. You are so niche focused, which is hopefully good. I know wine can be down at times, but that's I love that. For me, it's like, yes, I should have leaned into that more. And that's what happened when I started TriMerit. I leaned into a niche. And so just find that passion area in the profession for yourself and do little tweaks here and there to allow yourself to spend more time there, because your career will feel much more fulfilling when that happens.
Yeah, I agree. What last advice would you have for leaders in the accounting industry? What would you say to them to sort of help us all
Yeah.
be a little bit better?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is we get so focused on what we're doing that we don't look outside these walls we put in front of ourselves. It's like, okay, I have a client, I got to get this done. There's a deadline and I got to hit that deadline, rather than thinking, is there a different way I can get this done? Is there a better way I can get this done? Is there a more efficient way I can get this done? So for me, it's, question what you're doing. I think that's one of the biggest things. Every time you do something, is there a different way? Is there a better way? Do I have to track hours? Do I have to bill by the hour? Am I only as valuable as the time I put in? Or is my value based on the output I generate? Do I have to help every client out there, or can I just concentrate on a few clients? So just challenge what you're doing rather than just keep going down that same path because this is the way we've always done it.
Yeah, I love that. And, one of the ways I like to do it is, if I'm doing this, is it making me happy?
Yeah.
And that's a good
Yep.
place to start. And,
Yes.
I think both topics that you just ticked on is, does it make me happy? And I think, I'm going to take that message away from today. When I think about Randy, I'm going to go, am I doing what is making me happy? And can I get a big smile on my face like Randy does every time he thinks of Charlotte?
Believe me, that's never going away. It is so amazing. But yes, I get that for the profession too. If I think about Bridging the Gap and the conference and the people there, I get that same smile because I know they're all making a difference, and hopefully I'm helping them make a difference.
Right. Randy, we like to end Protea Conversations with 5 rapid fire questions, if you're ready.
Boy, all right, I gotta warm up here. All right, let's go.
What is your dream vacation?
Well, I think I'm about to take it. So my wife and I booked a cruise along the Norwegian coastline to see the Northern Lights, and we are doing that 6 weeks from tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Do you prefer audiobooks or paper books?
You know what? I want to start reading more paper books, but I have been on this audiobook binge for probably 5 years now. But I work out a lot, so I just listen to it while I'm working out. But when I get down and read a book, I enjoy it. So I'm going to have to say audiobooks. I'm sorry, I'm giving you long answers. I'm going to have to say audiobooks, but I want to. Maybe on the cruise, I will bring a book and I'll start reading again.
Yeah, just to divert. Like I've been on the audio as well. Problem is when I read paper books right now, I fall asleep within like 2 pages. It's really problematic.
Yep, that is a problem.
Age is starting to show. Question 3, if you only had 20 minutes to exercise, what would that exercise be?
That was what I was going to do this morning. I normally go 30 to 40 minutes, but I had only a few minutes to work out. And so I do, and this is the same workout I do whatever the time is, but I'll truncate it. It's like a HIIT workout. I'll do an elliptical warm up for 3 minutes on the 20-minute version. And then I'll take a minute in between each set, lift 2 different body parts. I'll take a minute in between each of those, and I'll get back on the elliptical. So get my heart rate up, go work out, do dumbbells, get my heart rate down a little bit in that, get it back up, and just that back and forth. And in 20 minutes, that HIIT workout is actually pretty intense.
That's a great one. Mountains or ocean?
Mountains. No brainer.
Last question. What would your death row meal be? What would that final meal be?
You know what? This just popped in my head. When I was growing up, my mom made this thing. It's called sesame chicken, and it was one of my favorites. It's almost like chicken nuggets, kind of. She would fry them, and she never fried anything. That's probably why I liked it. But it was breaded pieces of chicken fried, and the flavor was amazing. And so that's the first thing that popped into my head.
I love it. Randy, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your honesty, and I appreciate your friendship. Thank you so much for spending time with me on Protea Conversations.
Back to you, right on all 3 of those things. Thank you for having me.
And with that, we ended another Protea Conversations. Thank you for joining us in this journey of learning and inspiration. Today, we've gained insight from our guests and taken another step towards understanding the diverse tapestry of leadership in business and accounting. Remember, each conversation is a step towards the positive transformation of business leaders. We hope our discussion has given you valuable takeaways to apply in your own career and life. Don't forget to subscribe to Protea Conversations on YouTube and Spotify so you never miss an episode. We'd also love to hear your thoughts and experiences, so connect with me on social media channels. I'm most active on LinkedIn and would love you to join the conversation. Join us next time for more engaging stories, advice, and conversations that matter. Until then, keep striving for excellence, embracing growth. Thank you for listening, be kind, and goodbye from Protea Conversations.